8 in the morning on Wednesday the 23rd of March, springtime. In fact, in my neck of the woods we're experiencing like a little mini heatwave. So yeah, you've guessed it, I've just got the train down from Bath to Dorchester West on my bike, and I'm doing a little mini tour of Wessex. I hope to visit some really interesting places and share those with you today, but I'm also doing a little bit of a dummy run with my bike. So I've got the caribou and I've got my 2 rear panniers loaded up, and everything's exactly, I hope, as it will be for my June tour. So it's a bit of a dry run in effect. I got to my local railway station, Oldford Park, at 6 AM for the 6:05 train down to Dorchester. I basically just wanted to avoid rush hour with a laden bike, and it's worked quite well. There was like a lovely pre-dawn sunrise. It just got the start. It's got the hallmarks of what's going to be a lovely day. It was there was quite a frost in the fields, I noticed actually, and a bit of a nip in the air. And as we went through the stunning section between Bath and Bradford on Avon through the Avon Valley, there was quite a lot of mist there down in the valley. And then I changed at Westbury to get my connection down here, and the section between Yeovil and here is just stunning through the, well, Hardy's Wessex countryside. Mentioning Thomas Hardy's, quite a good place to start because this is Hardy countryside. Dorchester is well known for his links, and he was born just outside. And I'm going to that village up at Rockhampton, and there's a cottage there run by the National Trust. I don't think I'll get to look round today. I may, but you're supposed to book beforehand and I haven't. But I'm going to go there, just sort of get a sense of the place and the location. And then I'm heading slightly eastwards through Wareham Forest, and I'm going to go to Clouds Hill Cottage. That's a very rustic little cottage, and it was where T.E. Lawrence spent his later years leading up to his death. T.E. Lawrence is probably much better known as Lawrence of Arabia. So I'll tell you a bit more about that when I get there. And then just south of that, as I then start heading down towards the coast, is the site of where he had a motorcycle crash in 1935, and there's a shrine there. And there's quite a good place there these days to actually view a lot of army tanks and tracked vehicles heading up onto the forest to do their exercises. Then I'm heading down to the coast to Durdle Door. I've never actually been there before, I've seen so many pictures of it, so I want to go and have a look there. Then I'm going to head back inland, uphill, to get some good views of the coast, and then I'm going to head into Weymouth. But just before I get to Weymouth, I'm going to stop at Jordan's Hill. There's a site of an old Roman temple there. Then drop down into Weymouth. I'm hoping to do a beach bivvy tonight. I've got all my kit, I've got my tarpaulins, my basher poles, bivvy bag, so hopefully a beach camp tonight. So anyway, head out this way into town. As I make my way up through Dorchester pedestrianised High Street, there's loads of Thomas Hardy connections here. There's just one of them. Thomas Hardy, poet and novelist, born at Bockhampton, 2nd of June 1840, died at Maxgate, Dorchester, 11th of January 1928. Worked here 1856 to 1862 as a pupil to John Hicks, architect. Just a short walk from that cafe where I filmed, Bartley's Bank, and there's a plaque on the wall which says this house is reputed to have been lived in by the Mayor of Casterbridge in Thomas Hardy's story of that name, written in 1885. Lots of links and connections here. Hardy spent most of his life here. At the top of town, turn left, a few hundred yards up, there's a statue of Thomas Hardy. We'll be coming back to explore more tomorrow. I think we're heading down that way. Now making my way out of Dorchester on this busy road for a little bit before we turn on some quieter roads. I'm just passing the site of the former White Hart. It was a favourite watering hole of Thomas Hardy, and he used it as a location for one of his novels. I think The Few Crusted Characters is now residential conversion, no longer an inn, but there is a little bit of a clue round the back. Let me show you. It's right by this lovely riverside walk. That's well worth a meander along there. As I said, I'm coming back through here tomorrow, so I'll probably go down and do a bit of filming down there. There's a clue to its former purpose. The white hart that was, I guess, above the entrance there. I think we're getting off this main road shortly. Traffic's just starting to build up as rush hour approaches. I've just left Dorchester, crossed the river through. I'm on this busy road for a short section. Luckily there's this pavement I can avoid what's becoming quite a busy road now, I guess, as rush hour is approaching. Now turned on to some much quieter lanes. There's Melbury Bed and Breakfast there. That's straight from a Hardy novel. And we're just heading down here towards Hardy's cottage. So I guess Hardy these days would be probably called an influencer, because his books inspired people to just come and visit the area. So he was able to get over that passion and the love of the countryside he had. He disguised most of the locations with names such as Casterbridge, Melbury, etc., but they were quite easy to work out, and people used to flood here. I mean, he was responsible for a lot of tourism, so including me. 150 years later, Hardy's birthplace visitor centre, so that's where we're going. What a delightful location. Just came along there by those houses, came down this lane a couple of 100 yards. Here's the visitor centre. Opens at 10 AM, so I probably will meander around a little bit and come back, might even grab myself a cup of coffee. Visitor centre there, Hardy's cottage up here, so let's have a wander up. Oh, what a fab location. I'm loving this already. It really feels like being on holiday. I did look into looking around the cottage. I was hoping it'd be pay as you go type arrangement, just turn up and you can wander around. According to the National Trust website, excuse me, it's you book in advance and then you turn up for your allotted time for the guided tour. Whether that's due to COVID restrictions or that's just how they operate, I don't know. I really didn't want to book because it would slot me into too much of a timetable, and I just want this to be really relaxing. My old axe writes about deadlines. I didn't want this tour to be about deadlines. It's much further into the woods than I thought. I just thought there's, well, almost like the cafe, the turnstile, and there you were, voila. But no, this is quite a trek to the cottage. Wow, it just feels like a little pilgrimage actually. I'm really enjoying this, as you can probably tell. Only about an hour into my tour as well. Just entering into what looks like a bit of mist actually, but it's not, it's wood smoke. So whether they're actually burning some of the vegetation around here or there's actually a log fire going somewhere, I just don't know. But it all adds to the atmosphere. Oh my word, here we are. Don't know what to expect. Welcome to Hardy's cottage. Lady's just passed me, it's gone that way, but it appears to be through here, so we shall see. Oh gosh, look at this. Oh gosh, look at that. Quintessential Dorset thatched cottage. I wasn't quite expecting it to be amongst other cottages, but you think about it logically, you're not just going to build a cottage miles from anywhere, are you? There's going to be all the infrastructure for other places. Oh, that's fantastic. The guy just came down to start getting ready. It's 9:30. He said he can book me in for the 10 o'clock guided tour. I really do fancy looking down over here actually. So back to the bike, get a card, slow wander back up here for 10 o'clock. This is a quicker route back to the car park this time. Gosh, look at all the spring bulbs, the daffodils. Signs of spring everywhere. As I say, it feels like a little mini heatwave we're having at the moment. The purpose of this trip is, as well as an enjoyable cycle tour, is a sort of dry run, a sort of like a shakeout for what my dream trip's going to be like, and I've just suddenly realised something. I need a small folding backpack. I've got one at home actually. I should have bought it. So yeah, that's exactly what this is about, sort of just learning, you know, what have I forgotten, maybe what have I bought that's not necessary, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm starting to have things shoved down my cycle shorts, like the padlock key, my wallet, my credit cards, everything, and my phone, the selfie stick, etc. Well, I've gone back to my bike, got my cash card, and then I'm approaching back by the track. So this is probably the more usual way people would have approached the cottage, right at the end of this lovely track. Oh gosh, there you go, gives you an idea. Well, the guided tour around Hardy's Cottage, which is just over there, about quarter of a mile, about 45 minutes, and they preferred to book beforehand, but I turned up and he was able to take payment on the day, happy to show me around. I was in a group of 4, I was the 4th, lasted about 45 minutes, really interesting, happy to answer questions, seemed very well informed. I won't tell you too much because I would really highly recommend visiting here yourself. I've passed by so many times and also I might go in one day. Well, today's that day, and I just wish I'd come here years ago actually. The 3 ladies that I was part of the group of, they'd all been before, and even they said they learnt new stuff today. So yeah, thoroughly recommended. £8. Well, I'm now at Clouds Hill, and another really good stroke of luck. I just got here 3 or 4 minutes before midday, and they let me go around the 12 o'clock view, and really interesting tour. 3 different guides here. There's the guy outside giving you a synopsis of T.E. Lawrence's life, Lawrence of Arabia, and then there's 2 guides inside. What lady guided us upstairs, and then there's a gentleman downstairs. I've got an awful confession to make here. A few years ago I was riding back from a youth hostel and I saw the signs for Clouds Hill, Lawrence of Arabia's cottage, and at the time I thought that was it over there. I remember stopping to take a picture, and it's actually called Clouds Hill as well. And It was only when I got home and I started to read up about it, I realised I got completely the wrong cottage. I was just telling the lady who gave us the guided tour upstairs, and she said it would have been an easy mistake to make, to be honest, if you were just riding by, because there used to be big hedgerows here, apparently. She said, so you wouldn't have even seen this from the road. But, so yeah, it's been really good to go back and put my mistake right. Really is a stunning location. Even if there is quite a busy road going right by it now. There's the other cottage over there. Just come down from Clouds Hill, literally about a quarter of a mile that way. Pulled in this little viewing area where you can sort of see all the tanks and the armoured vehicles coming by and doing their manoeuvres. It seems like they have a car running alongside parallel to them, I guess like the instructor, and then they go along there. However, what I've really come here for, as well as having my lunch, is this over here. This is the Lawrence of Arabia shrine, marking the spot where he was killed on his motorcycle accident. There was a dip in the road in 1935 and he was coming along here, and he suddenly spotted two cyclists and he swerved to avoid them, clipped one of them slightly, went down and injured himself fatally, died 6 days later in a local hospital. After leaving Clouds Hill, it's very, very warm now. It's gone 1 PM. You ride down that road, the road on which Lawrence of Arabia got killed, and it's not ultra busy, but it's quite straight and the traffic's fast. But there's a cycle path, 1 minute it's on the right, the next minute it's on the left. Then as they've deviated there, the old road is a cycle path along here. Crossing this, I'm guessing this is the River Frome, and then we're going that way. I mean, hopefully there's going to be more cycle paths avoiding that. Turning into a lovely, lovely day. I'm now between Lulworth Cove and Durdle Door, so I've just passed through West Lulworth. You see it's getting quite hilly. They're not particularly steep, they just seem to go on a long time. And there's the sea down there. I suppose, what, 3/4 of a mile over to my left. You may hear some gunfire rattling off in the distance. Reminds me, last time I came here, I was doing a 200-kilometre DIY Audax to Lulworth Cove Youth Hostel, and it was in the middle of the winter. I was always going to get here after dark, and I just got along there about 5 miles after having got Sandbanks ferry across Poole Harbour, and the road was closed because they were doing night manoeuvres. You saw all this sort of like red tracer going across, heard lots of gunfire. I had to do about a 7 or 8 mile detour. It came flooding back today. Even though it was dark at the time, I sort of recognised a lot of it. It's now very sunny. I assume, well, those people who gathered, that's the viewing platform for Durdle Door. But look at Portland Island over there, all enshrouded in the mist. So the car park for Durdle Door is at the end of a long track right beyond the caravan park. lock my bike up here. You will need a lot for this ride, and it suggests some sturdy shoes, and I would say yes, definitely, because that's quite slippery on the way down in dry weather. What that's like after rain, goodness only knows, but yeah, it's well worth a trek down there for the view. I'm now heading from Durdle Door to my next destination, the Roman Celtic temple at Jordan Hill, on the outskirts of Weymouth, in fact looking down on Weymouth Bay. These lanes I'm riding are fantastic, also these lovely thatched cottage villages. There's the hills, the sea is just literally over there, and I'm snaking around this way. I had it in my head I was going to be going along quite a busy road. I mean, if it stays like this would be absolutely superb. You can probably tell by my breath, I'm at the top of a steep rise. Riding through there was absolutely stunning, and as I said, just past that curve of that hill is the coast. I just suddenly remembered when I did the route, ride with GPS, tried to send me along here, and it may have been okay, but I sort of street mapped it. When I say street map, I just dragged the pegman, because it did sort of say no data available, which suggests the Google car hasn't been down there, which means it's unlikely to be a road. And I drag and drop the pegman here, saw that on quite an overcast day, and thought I don't fancy that. I'm glad I did deviate as well, because that's been fantastic. But as I suspected, now I'm going to be dropping down, joining that main road along there. I don't think it's too busy. Once again, the GPS has delivered a marvel. I was on that main road for, I guess, about a quarter of a mile, turned right behind the garage, down a little track which looked like it was a dead end, got on a minor road going through a village. That looked like it's curving back to the main road. It just sent me down here, just signposted social club, and it looks like I'm going to carry on this way. As I always say with GPS, I'd have never found this by myself. Oh, absolutely superb. It's just brought me up through these woods on this track. Going to go across this field, and then there's a lane going up there. There's the main road. What I'm doing after this, I'm not too sure. Well, that track passed up behind the social club, turned into a track going through those woods, then a footpath down through these fields. Now I'm on this farm drive, and it's going to take me up to a lane there, avoiding the main road. I can hear it in the distance but not see it. Oh, this is fantastic. I've just passed the boundary for Weymouth and Portland on this fairly main road. But wow, look at this view. All the start of the caravan parks here. Just passed through Osmington. I think this is Bowleaze Cove. You can see the Isle of Portland right in front of us. Half of it is enshrouded in that sort of sea mist. Then you can see the causeway going along. Then there's Weymouth Harbour, and beyond would be the other end of the causeway. That's why I'm sort of looking to beach camp. Whether I do or not, I don't know. I'll be looking out for suitable camps the minute I get down on the seafront. Just before we drop down onto the coast, the final climb, there's Jordan's Hill. That's where the Roman and Celtic temple was. There's a fairly good footprint of it there. Anyway, I'll talk to you when we get there. Yet again, the GPS has come up drunk. So I was on that main road, past the cart, thought maybe I should have stopped there. Got to the top of the hill, there was a spa, stopped there, got myself some water and some chocolate for tonight. I just don't fancy an alcoholic drink. And then I almost immediately turned left up through this housing estate, kept going up sort of like cul-de-sacs. At the end there would be like this, a pathway through the next street, and this is actually taking me up to Jordan's Hill. I'm up on Jordan Hill then, looking down on Weymouth and across to the Isle of Portland. That's the way I've just come inland. That's the big, I think that's Bowleaze Cove Caravan Park. This is my final point of interest for the day, Jordan Hill, Roman Temple. It's going to go up there, leave the bike by that seat, and then go over and have a look. Just come up this little residential street, leave the bike there, walk along about 30 yards, and here's the footprint of the old temple. What a lovely place. Last time I was here, there was a youth group with an instructor, and I sort of tagged on because I was interested in what he was saying. He was saying a lot more information that was on there. And he was the sort of teacher that I really, really like and admire, because he said in one of the corners, I think it was that one there, top right hand corner, that when they excavated this site they found bones down there of birds, and he said to the students, why do you think that was? And I was scratching my head trying to wonder why it was. And you know what kids are like, they'll take a chance. They were coming up with all sorts of ideas, and he said, I don't know, in fact nobody knows. And I just love that, when they ask thought-provoking questions and just get a response from the students, make them think actually, and admit that he didn't know the answer as well. So that was a fantastic memory up here. That's looking back at my bivvy setup. The shelter was actually quite difficult to set up because the pegs just did not want to go into the pebbles. I've got them in the end, but it doesn't look great. It'll keep me warm and dry if it was to rain overnight. I've got my Trangia Mini with me today. I've actually bought out the heat shields from the Whisperlight petrol stove, so I'm hoping that's going to help my billy can boil. It's just starting to flower up a little bit, so put that hot water on. I've got a couple of MREs tonight, meals ready to eat, you just boil them in the bag. So they're both the same recipe, chicken and pasta with spicy tomato, and they are 300 grams. One should be enough, but having said that, I'm quite hungry today, so I might have both of those. And I've also got a chocolate pudding there for my dessert. So just boil these for 8 minutes, leave them to stand for a minute, then just eat them straight out of the bag. Simple, and I can just dispose of the rubbish in the morning and not have to carry dead weight. That's the first of my boiling the bags ready. Just let it stand for a minute, tore open the top, going to eat it out of the bag. It's very hot. I've just had a quick mouthful and it's really nice and tomatoey and spicy. Some really big chunks of chicken in there as well. Bon appetit. There's number 2 on the go. This is looking along to Weymouth. This camera just does not do the view justice. It really is a lovely coloured collection of lights along there, and then as you get along to the harbour they seem to dim. There's some very faint ones going along the causeway, and then you just see the outline of Portland, the island of Portland, like a big lump out there. I'm filming on my mobile phone. This is the Hawaii P20. My wife has got the next model up, the P30, and hers would make this look almost like it's daytime. Her camera at night is just so good. It's getting quite dark now. I've had my 2 meals and I'm just boiling my pudding for 15 minutes in the remainder of the water. I've put a light on one of the poles. I've got my panniers supporting them either side. I've laid out the German Army ground sheet along the length of the shelter, and I've got my Terra Nova Jupiter hooped bivvy, but you can use it without the hoop and without the pegs, and that's exactly what I'm doing tonight. I just didn't think I'd get them in the pebbles. I had a job getting the poles and these guy lines in. I've got my bike round the back, weighing the back down, as well as some pegs, and then I've just got the thin B&Q ground sheet just in front. So I've got all my bed made up. It looks like there's a body in there already actually, with the Sinmat sleep pad, my winter sleeping bags in there, and the inflatable pillow, and I've also got bars of chocolate, my knife, my valuables in there. There is a bit of room where the hoop would go, so when you don't use the hoop there is excess room in there, not much but enough to keep your valuables. I'll probably put my shoes in there as well. The chocolate pudding's had about 15 minutes to steam, so I'm going to take that out of the pot shortly and eat it. Going to extinguish the Trangia, but you can see it's a fair old flame there. It's worked quite well with this heat shield. Just going to do myself coffee in the morning, and then I'll go into town and find some breakfast. There's my boil in the pot chocolate pudding. They're ever so good. Scrunch it down a little bit, and there's plenty of sauce in there. It's very, very hot. And once I've had this, I'm just going to pack up all the rubbish, tidy my site up a little bit, and then dive into my sleeping bag and bivvy bag. I'm just going to sit out here for a bit longer until it gets too cold, and then I'll just be getting in me bivvy bag and probably just watching a few videos and maybe phone my wife and eventually go off to sleep. So I'll say good night, see you in the morning. Hello, good morning from my bivvy.